Hi guys, welcome back to Form Fully. Previously we have covered basic OOPS MCQs. In this video we are covering polymorphism MCQs which have common MCQ pattern and also snippets. So let's get started with the first question.
What is polymorphism in Java? The ability of a class to hide its internal details, the process of creating multiple objects from a single class, the ability of different classes to respond to the same method call in a way that it is specified to each class, the process of converting a primitive data type into an object. The ability of different classes to respond to the same method call in a way that is specific to each class is a correct option, because polymorphism enables you to write code that can work with the object of a different classes in a consistent way. It is achieved through method overloading and method overriding. The ability of class to hide its internal details, it is incorrect because it is encapsulation, not polymorphism. And option 2, the process of creating multiple objects from a single class, is also incorrect because the process of creating object which is basic concept in OOPS but not the specific to polymorphism. Option 4, that is the process of converting a primitive data type into an object, is incorrect because it describes auto-boxing and unboxing, right, which is feature related to converting primitive data types into their corresponding object wrappers, but it is not the definition of polymorphism. So the correct option is 3. Moving to the next question. In Java, which annotation is used to implement method overriding in a subclass? Override, implements, extends, super. To indicate that the method in a subclass is intended to override method in a superclass, you use override annotation. This annotation is used to ensure that the method in a subclass is indeed intended to override a method in a superclass. If there is a mismatch in a method signature, the compiler will generate an error, helping to catch potential issues early. Option B, implement, is used to indicate that a class is implementing an interface, not for method overriding. Extend is used to create a subclass that inherits from a superclass, but it's not related to method overriding directly. Super is a keyword used to call a superclass, a constructor or method, but it is not used as annotation for method overriding. So the correct option is override. Which type of polymorphism is resolved during compile time in Java? Compile time polymorphism, runtime polymorphism, method polymorphism, dynamic polymorphism. The type of polymorphism that is resolved during compile time in Java is called as compile time polymorphism or static polymorphism. This is also known as method overloading. You know that method overloading is multiple method in the same class have the same name but differ the number or types of parameters. The compiler determines which method to call based on the number and types of argument passed at the compile time. Runtime polymorphism, method polymorphism, dynamic polymorphism. These three are described as runtime polymorphism, also known as dynamic polymorphism, where method overriding is involved. Runtime polymorphism is resolved at the runtime based on the actual type of the object, not at compile time based on the method signature. So the correct option is 1. Next question. In Java, can you override static methods? Options: yes, static method can be overridden. No, static method cannot be overridden. Static method can only be overridden in the same package. Static methods can only be overridden if they are marked as final. In Java, static method cannot be overridden. They are hidden in the subclasses, not overridden. The method to call is determined at the compile time based on the reference type, not at the object's actual type. Option A is incorrect because, as I mentioned earlier, static method cannot be overridden. Option C is incorrect because whether a method is static or not doesn't depend on whether it can be overridden. It depends on the method definition. Option 4 is incorrect because final prevent it from being hidden in the subclasses, but it still does not result in actual method overriding. So option 2 is correct.
Next question. What is the main advantage of method overriding in Java? Options: it allows you to create new methods with the same name in a subclass.
It allows you to hide methods from the superclass. It allows you to provide a specific implementation of a method in a subclass. It allows you to define methods with the different access modifier. And the correct option is it allows you to provide a specific implementation of a method in a subclass, because method overriding allows a subclass to provide its own implementation for a method that is already defined in its superclass. Option A is incorrect because this describes method overloading, not method overriding. Option 2 is incorrect because method overriding doesn't hide methods. It provides a new implementation for a methods already defined in its superclass. Option 4 is incorrect because method overriding should maintain the same method signature, including the access modifier. So option 3 is correct.
Moving to the next, the snippet question. What will be the output of this code? Some sound, bark, compilation error, runtime error. I will suggest first pause the video and think about the answer. I hope you found the correct answer. And the correct option is bark. Because in this code, you have class hierarchy with superclass as animal and subclass as dog. Both classes have a method make sound, right? And dog class override this method. In the main method, you create an object, myPet, of type animal, but initialize it with dog object. This is an example of polymorphism in Java, where you can have a reference to a superclass type, in this case animal, that points to an object of subclass, in this case that is dog. When you call myPet.makeSound, it calls makeSound method of actual object type, which is dog, right? This makeSound. Okay. So it will print bark. Option A is incorrect because the method is overridden in the dog class and the subclass version of the method is called when you have an object of subclass. Option 3 is incorrect because there are no compilation error in the code. And option 4 is incorrect because there won't be a runtime error, because method overriding in Java is a standard practice and does not result in runtime when done correctly. Okay, so option 2 is correct.
Moving to the next question. What is the difference between method overloading and method overriding in Java? Options: method overloading is resolved at runtime, while method overriding is resolved at compile time. Method overloading involves creating multiple methods with the same name but different parameters, while method overriding involves providing a new implementation for a method in a subclass. Method overloading is only applicable to static methods, while method overriding is only applicable to instance method. Method overloading is a technique where method is in the same class have the same name but different parameter, and method overriding occurs when subclass provides its own implementation for method that is already defined in its subclass. So option 2 is correct. Option 1 is incorrect because the statement is incorrect. Method overloading is resolved at compile time, while method overriding is resolved at runtime. Option 3 is incorrect because the statement is incorrect. Both method overloading and method overriding can apply to both static and instance method. Moving to the next question. In Java, can you override constructor from a superclass? Options: yes, constructor can be overridden. No, constructor cannot be overridden. Constructor can only be overridden if they are marked as final. Constructor can only be overridden if they are declared as public. In Java, constructor cannot be overridden because constructors are not inherited like regular method. When a subclass is created, it implicitly calls the constructor of a superclass using the super keyword. Subclass can add their own constructor, but they cannot override or change the behavior of super constructor. This is because constructors are a part of object initialization process and their behavior is not determined by the polymorphism. Option 1 is incorrect because, as I mentioned earlier, constructor cannot be overridden. Option 3 is incorrect because constructor cannot be marked as final. Even if they could, it wouldn't change the fact that constructor cannot be overridden. Option 4 is incorrect because accessibility modifier like public are used to control the visibility of constructor, but they do not relate to the concept of overriding. Constructors are automatically called by the subclass and they don't need to declare as public to be used by the subclass. So option 2 is correct. Next question. What is the purpose of super keyword in method overriding? To call a method from the superclass, to invoke the constructor from the superclass, to access static method from the superclass, to prevent method overriding. And the correct option is to call a method from superclass, because the super keyword in method overriding is used to explicitly call a method from the superclass. When a method in the subclass has the same name as a method in the superclass, you can use super.that method name to invoke the superclass method. Option 2 is incorrect because while the super keyword can be used to call a constructor of the superclass, it is not its primary purpose in the method overriding. Option 3 is incorrect because the super keyword is typically used for accessing instances methods and is not required to access the static methods in the superclass. Option 4 is incorrect because the super keyword does not prevent method overriding. It is used to facilitate and control the invocation of method in the superclass. So option 1 is correct. Moving to the next question. Which keyword in Java is used to prevent a method from being overridden in a subclass? Final, abstract, static, this. When you declare a method as a final, it means that method's implementation in the current class is definitive and final version of the method. Subclass cannot be override a final method. Option 2, abstract, is incorrect because abstract keyword is used to declare method that must be overridden by subclass, making it the opposite of preventing method overriding. Static, as you know, static method are associated with the class, not with instances, and they are not overridden in the traditional sense. This keyword, you also know, this keyword is used to refer to the current instance of a class and is unrelated to the preventing method overriding. So final keyword in Java is used to prevent a method from being overridden in a subclass. Moving to the next question. What is the purpose of instance of operator in Java? To check if an object is an instance of a particular class or interface, to convert an object to another data type, to compare two objects for equality, to check if an object is null. The instance of operator in Java is used to determine whether an object is an instance of a particular class, subclass, or interface. It is used for type checking and help ensure that you are working with the correct type of object before performing certain operations. Option 2 is incorrect because the instance of operator is not used for converting an object to another data type. Conversion typically involves typecasting. Option 3 is incorrect because comparing two objects for equality is typically done using the equals method or the equals to operator. Option 4 is incorrect because to check if an object is null, you would use equals to or not equals to compare the object to null. So option 1 is correct. Next question. What is the concept of method signature in Java method overloading? The method's name and return type, the method name, return type and the number of parameters, the method name and access modifier, the method name and the order of parameter type. The method signature in Java includes the method name, its return type and the number of and types of its parameter. Method overloading is based on differences in the method signature. To overload a method, you can use the same method name but must change the number of types of parameter or both. Option A is incorrect because this is partial definition. It's not sufficient for distinguish overloaded method because two methods with the same name and return type but different parameters are considered overloaded. Option 3 is incorrect because access modifier is not considered part of method signature. Option 4 is incorrect because the order of parameter type is important but it is just one aspect of number and types of parameters. So option 2 is correct. Moving to the next snippet question. What is the result of the following code? There is no error. The code will execute successfully. Error. The bark method is not defined in the animal class.
Error, the myPet object cannot access the bark method. Error, the dog class should be declared as abstract. First think about the code and ready with your correct answer. I hope you find the correct answer, and the correct option is error, the bark method is not defined in the animal class. Because in this code we have class hierarchy as superclass with animal and subclass with dog. Both classes have method make sound. The dog class override this method. Okay. Then in the main method you create object myPet of type animal but initialize it with dog object. However, when you try to call bark method on myPet, it result compilation error. The reason is that the bark method is not defined in the animal class, and the reference type, that is animal, determine which method are accessible. Even though the actual object is dog, the reference type restrict the accessible method to those defined in the animal class. Option 1 is incorrect because the code will not execute successfully because it contains a compilation error due to attempt to call an undefined method on the myPet object. Option 3 is incorrect because the error is not about the accessibility of the bark method but rather than the fact that it is not defined in the animal class. Error 4 is incorrect because there is no need to declare the dog class as abstract in this context and it is not related to the compilation error. So option 2 is correct.